How are you?
Well, first of all, Tom, let me say it's my pleasure to be talking with you. Um, I love, I've always loved Canada. Canada has been really where my folk music career started when I worked with people like Gordon Lightfoot. I worked with people like Bonnie Pruden, who had a product on the market called Bonnie Bell, which was a lotion you put on your face and half your skin came off. and and so I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to be here. Uh, I loved the Canadian group Rush, and of course Gordon Lightfoot. When we were friends back then insisted that I drove him home, that I was the designated driver, you might say.
And you played coffee houses in Canada too, right? In Vancouver?
I played them all. I played the Fourth Dimension in Winnipeg, Manitoba, that always smelled like rotten cabbage from the paper mills. And I love Canada. And I think America, in some ways, has taken Canada for granted. We have never had an ally like Canada, and I hope we still will at the end of everything.
I hope so too. It's a lovely opportunity to talk to you and go through your life a little bit. I know you moved away from Puerto Rico. You were born in Puerto Rico. You moved to New York with your family when you were 5. Give me a memory you have of Puerto Rico. Do you remember anything from before you left?
Well, I remember a few things.
Oh, bless you.
Yeah. I remember the sugarcane trucks that would come around our neighborhood chopping the sugarcane and, of course, selling the juice. And what we would do so that the juice wasn't as sweet, we would put a little bit of lemon in it, and it would make it more palatable.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's what I remember about Puerto Rico. I remember sucking the seeds out of the coffee, because, coffee is a fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes from Africa, from from all over Africa. And that's all I can remember. And I remember my uncle coming to visit us on Christmas, and he played the Puerto Rican instrument, the cuatro, which I played on Feliz Navidad. And well, there you have it.
Well, I want to play a clip right now that might take you back a little bit. Take a listen to this.
We have a jazz trio, 3 high school students. The staff tells me they really have a sound that's all their own. See, they're going to play a real old favorite back home in Indiana, the Modern Sound Trio.
I get it. That is Back Home in Indiana, as performed by the Modern Sound Trio. 3 blind players, one of which was my guest, José Feliciano, on guitar. The year was 1962. José, that was your very first television performance. You were still in high school. What do you remember about that?
Well, I remember that I was a jerk about that situation, because I should have come back and done Light My Fire on the Ed Sullivan Show, because Mr. Sullivan gave me an opportunity when I really needed it. I had told all my friends to please be on the lookout and watch me on the Ed Sullivan Show. And, sometimes when you're a kid, you act in a way that's not very good. And I have regretted it all my life that I didn't go back and play Mr. Sullivan's show.
And Jose, will you just comment on the trio?
Well, the trio was made up of a friend of mine who loved jazz, and his name was Bliss Rodriguez. And Bliss loved the jazz players, people like Thelonious Monk, people like Billy Taylor, whom I also loved. I thought Billy Taylor was fantastic. And so on the drums, we had a kid that was Irish and Polish, and his name was Bliss Rodriguez. And Blissy, excuse me, that I would say something? No?
That was the keyboard player. Who was the Grogan? Bobby Grogan?
I was going to come to that, Suze.
Yes.
Robert Grogan was the drummer for us at the time. And the reason we chose Robert Grogan was because we didn't have another drummer that was that good. So we chose Robert Grogan.
It must have been like, how did it feel performing back then? It must have been a bit scary.
I think more than scary, it was a wonderful feeling.
Yeah.
Hey, we were doing something. We weren't like other kids who weren't doing something. I mean, to be on television was a great accomplishment for us.
Did you know what kind of artist that you wanted to be? Like, it wasn't long after that you became José Feliciano, like the legend that we know. Did you know what kind of artistic career you wanted to have?
Well, no kid does really ever. You do things and hope for the best. And when I did the boleros in Argentina, and by the way, the boleros were the torch songs. And when I heard Frank Sinatra's music with the arrangements done by Axel Stordahl, I knew that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be like a Frank Sinatra who started something new.
Did you have a backup plan?
No, I didn't. Because you have to remember, because computers were not as sophisticated back in the 50s as they are now, I didn't see me having a backup for my career. So that's why when RCA didn't know what to do for me, they sent me to Memphis. Am I telling it right, Susan?
Where are we going here? You're gonna do the talk about the boleros?
Yeah.
That was Argentina.
Yeah,
no. I'm wondering, like, if music didn't work out, did you have a plan?
No, I didn't have a plan, Tom, because I couldn't.
Right.
I couldn't have a plan.
Right. What was it about the guitar that attracted you?
Oh, I think the sound, the way it felt when I played it, and when I held the guitar in my hands, I felt I was the handsomest guy in the world. I could have been wrong, but that's what I felt.
Right, because your mom wanted you to be an accordion player, right?
My mother did. And I used to play those big monstrosities, the 120 basers,
Yeah.
like Dick Cantini,
Yeah, I know those.
and Myron Florin, my mother wanted me to play the accordion. And when I started playing the guitar, she introduced me, not knowingly, to Andre Segovia, who could make one guitar sound like two or three.
We're going to take a listen to another clip. Take a listen to this.
You know that it would be untrue. You know that I would be a liar if I was to say to you, hey, girl, we couldn't get much higher. Come on, baby, light my fire.
That is a bit of Light My Fire, originally by The Doors in 1967, covered a year later by my guest today, the legendary José Feliciano. Your version got you your first 2 Grammys for Best New Artist and Best Pop Male Performance. What do you think it was about the way you approached Light My Fire that really took off?
Well, I have to be honest in saying, hell if I know. I think it was just fresh. I mean, nobody had ever in their right mind, Tom, had tried to do rock and roll with a nylon string guitar. And I was the first to do that. And I have no regrets. I'm glad, because out of all that, the best thing that happened to me was that I met my wife, Susan, who to this very day doesn't want me to thank her, but that's just her character. Oh. She's not one for the limelight. And to tell you the truth, even I'm not one for the limelight.
I mean, I understand that it can be. I mean, you seem like you're in it for the music. How did you choose what songs you were going to cover back then? I mean, you were doing Light My Fire and California Dreamin' and Que Sera Sera. Like, how did you pick?
And I also liked Don't Let the Sun Catch You Crying.
Yeah.
By Jerry and the Pacemakers. I don't know. These songs said something to me. And it's really true in life. Don't let the sun catch you crying. Let it catch you being joyous. Let it catch you feeling lucky to be alive. And that's in the day of the pandemic.
Yeah.
That's how I feel, Tom. I feel lucky that I'm alive.
We feel lucky that you're alive too, and it's been a joy going through your career. I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about 2 more pieces of music here. I want to start with this one.
Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land and for the free and the home of the brave?
I'm Tom Power. This is Q. That's my guest, José Feliciano, with his version of the American National Anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner. It happened at the 1968 World Series in Detroit. The public backlash from that performance essentially derailed José's career in a lot of ways. Some radio stations stopped playing his music. People called for his deportation, even though he was an American citizen. José, what do you remember from when all that was going on? What do you remember feeling?
Well, you hit the hail on the Ned, truthfully.
Yeah.
What I remember was very hard for me to swallow while it was happening, because people who didn't know me right away assumed this guy can't play his instrument, And I was way beyond that. I used to practice 14 hours a day, not directly, but I'd practice a little bit, put the guitar down, Then I'd tune into American Bandstand with Dick Clark. And I thought, you know what, Jose? If you can play any song that is played on American Bandstand, you're a professional. You know what you have to do.
Mm-hmm. So when you did the Star Spangled Banner and people got upset with you, how did that feel?
Well, it didn't feel very good because I was standing up, and they'll think I'm racist, but I was standing up for our Black brothers and sisters when I did it that way. I wanted to show the world that they were valued, that their music was valued. And that's why I did it the way I did.
How so? Like, tell me more about that.
Well, most of the friends I had in school, because we liked the same things. We liked good food and good music.
Mm-hmm.
And when songs like Up on the Roof were big sellers because of the arrangements by Buck Ram and Morty Nevins, I don't know. I just thought, Jose, this is your chance to represent your brothers and sisters. I mean, did I say that right, Helen?
Yes, Jose. It's just, how did you sing it? And what influence came into your music?
Well, that's the influence that came into my music. It was its soul music.
No, yeah, I understand. I mean, that was the stylized version. You were bringing R&B and soul into that version of the Star Spangled Banner.
Yep.
And did it feel like a risk when did you know people were going to be a bit hard on you afterwards? Did it feel like a risk?
No, not to me. To me, it felt like it was the right thing to do all along. The only regret I have about that is that I had to travel a lot to earn out a scant living.
Right.
But, if I had to do it all over again, I'd do it the same way.
Well, before we go, we need to talk about Feliz Navidad, the song you're arguably most famous for, a song you wrote yourself. It's been a part of Christmas traditions for so many people all around the world for decades. Tell me a little bit about where that song came from when you wrote it.
Well, Feliz Navidad is a very in Puerto Rican saying, it's joyous. It's played during Noche Buena, and Noche Buena is luau night in Puerto Rico. I feel sorry for the pig because he's a guest of honor.
Right.
And he had no choice.
Right.
So mainly, Feliz Navidad came out of a joyous situation. And the producer at the time, Rick Gerard, asked me to write a Christmas song. And I said, Rick, I don't know, man, because I had a lot of competition. I had the Christmas song and other Christmas songs that I loved. And so we didn't want to do a schmaltzy Christmas album. We wanted a Christmas album that told the story of the nativity scene and told it in a good way.
What I love about the song is that it's deceptively simple. It doesn't have a bridge. It doesn't have another verse. Was that on purpose to keep it simple?
I don't know if it was on purpose, but it seemed expedient at the time.
Expediently to get it out a bit faster.
Possibly, but we were just so overjoyed. Don't forget, too, it was in the summertime when we recorded Feliz Navidad. My drummer, whom was my dearest friend at the time, we were at the carnivals at the time. and I was called by James Comack to come in and record, let's say, the theme from Chico and the Man.
Oh, yeah. Chico and the Man. Freddie Prinze.
Yep.
Tell me, when you look back at your career, which has been pretty incredible, your legacy in music, where does Feliz Navidad sit in there?
Well, it's a very important part in my legacy because I don't know if people would know me if I hadn't recorded Feliz Navidad.
Well, I'm so grateful that you did. I hope you know that you brought joy to people all around the world with that song.
Well, thank you, my friend. Thank you. It's been a real gas talking to you. And all I can say to you is, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. Baby of my heart. Feliz Navidad, Tom.
Feliz Navidad, Jose. Thank you so much for your time and take care.
You're welcome.